Okay, not bad.
What's going on, guys? Chris from AutoAcademics here, and we are heading out today to ride something that we have never ridden before. A Triumph motorcycle. Let's see how it goes.
But before we get into how it rides, let me show you what I'm riding. It's a 2026 Triumph Trident 800. That's right, not a Trident 660, which has received some updates this year, but Triumph's all-new, more powerful naked middleweight roadster, the Trident 800. And spoiler alert, it's pretty sweet. Spec-wise, our jet black with 17-inch 5-spoke gold-colored cast aluminum alloy wheel tester is fitted with 120/70 series front and 180/55 series rear Michelin Road 6 Sport Touring tires. The forks are Showa 41mm upside-down separate function big piston examples with adjustable compression and rebound damping, and a Showa monoshock with adjustable preload and rebound damping handles the bumps out back. The unladen seat height is 31.89 inches, fitting my 5'8" frame with little drama. Speaking of which, the seat itself is narrow near the 3.7-gallon tank, and there's room for a passenger in back. The 815mm wide bars are sporty without being too racy, and the foot controls are positioned slightly rearward, requiring the same level of athleticism from you as the bars. Now, thanks to its lack of fairings, you get to see the compact tubular steel perimeter frame and the engine that resides within. It's a liquid-cooled 798cc triple engine with triple throttle bodies that, with 113 horsepower and 61.9 pound-feet of torque, provides exhilarating power on the road. A 6-speed transmission with X-ring chain final drive handles the gears, and the stainless steel exhaust is a 3-into-1 with a side-mounted silencer. The brakes consist of twin-drilled 310mm floating rotors with a 4-piston radial caliper up front, and a single 220mm fixed disc with single-piston sliding caliper in back. Lean-sensitive optimized cornering ABS is standard. LED lighting is at both ends, and in addition to the ABS I mentioned earlier, there's also Triumph Shift Assist for clutchless up and down gear changes, and 3 riding modes: Road, Sport, and Rain with traction control. The 3.5-inch instrument gauge shows the usual speed, gear, odometer, fuel level, and temp, and is Bluetooth capable so you can pair your phone for calls, music, and navigation. Alright, now that we've taken care of that, let's go for a ride.
All right, what's going on, guys? Chris from AutoAcademics here, and we are out for another ride today. Today's ride is the 2026 Triumph Trident 800. Now, I had the opportunity to ride the 660 prior to this, and it was a absolutely lovely ride. I mean, it handled great. Power was decent, power was good, but I mean, its handling was fantastic. That was probably the biggest takeaway from it. It was comfortable. It had a great seat height for me. And, you know, just overall, it was a really nice bike. But now we are on the 800. This is the bigger brother, and I'm gonna just chat a little bit with you about that. Now, I gotta tell you, this is my first time riding Triumph motorcycles. So, you know, that's pretty cool. I'm getting my feet wet out here with them, and so far so good. Now, as I sit here at this light, I like to just mention the seating position and the seat height. I don't know if you can see in my camera there, but my feet are pretty flat on the ground, so that's pretty good. Not quite as low as on that 660. That 660 was really fit me pretty decently. It was extra comfortable, the seat was soft, all that kind of stuff. This one, because there is a little bit more seat height, I mean, I haven't looked at the specs yet, but you know, just from the butt feeling, it definitely feels like it's a little bit taller. And so because of that, it definitely, the seat was more comfortable on that bike than on this one. But this isn't bad. It's got a nice taper to it, so that it's a little more narrow between your legs. As far as the brakes are concerned, they feel fairly comparable. The suspension feels a little bit stiffer on this one. And you know, of course, these bikes do have adjustable suspension, so I can't say if that is because this one is just tuned a little bit sportier, a little firmer, but this one does feel a little bit firmer than that 660 did. That 660 was super comfortable, and that was nice of them to let us go through. That 660 was super comfortable, and you know, this is coming from an old guy. And so, you know, just kind of giving you my impressions on that side of things. But again, back to this 800, it's a nice ride. As far as ergonomics are concerned, the riding position is upright, sporty enough that I would appreciate it on a daily basis. The foot pegs, while I wouldn't consider them, I don't know if they're mid or not. I need to look that up, because they don't feel quite directly under me, but they're not far back either, like on a sport bike where you're going to, you know, deal with knee pain and all that kind of stuff. This is definitely a little more relaxed, a little more comfortable. My riding partner next to me is laughing because he wanted to hop on this 800 because it fits him better. I think he said he's 6'8" or something crazy like that, and I'm 5'8", so my feet on the ground. Oh yeah, this is woo. Oh yeah, I'm liking that. But yeah, so my feet don't quite touch the ground the same way that his do. On that 660, he's got a lot of bend in the knees, whereas for me, on this, my legs are pretty well stretched out. I've got a little more toe action at times when I come to a complete stop, but it's not uncomfortable. You know, it's not it's not where I feel like I get fatigued or feel unsafe or anything like that. Now, if you didn't know, these Triumph motorcycles, they have auto cancel for the turn signals, which that's a nice feature. I mean, most modern bikes have that now, but I just feel the need to mention it in case you come across a newer bike that doesn't have that, or if you're coming off an old bike that doesn't have that. You know, it's a nice feature to have auto canceling turn signals. If you've ridden long enough, we've all been there where we go to turn a corner, they got our turn signals on, and then we drive for another mile and a half before we realize it was still on. Now, as far as the gauges are concerned, they are all digital. They're LCD, and I don't know, they're not my favorite. They're not super bright, they give good information. You know, you've got fuel gauge, you've got tachometer, you've got speedometer. I don't know if I mentioned it has gear selection also, which that is a fantastic plus also. No guessing what gear you're in. This bike has a 6-speed transmission. It does have speed shift. The brakes feel nice and firm. They're not super grabby, but they definitely feel strong enough. The bars have a decent height to them. I kind of mentioned this already about the relaxed seating position. And so the bars have a decent rise to them. You know, it's just a little rise. So it still has a sporty look to it, but it keeps a significant amount of comfort as well. You know, right now, as I think back to that 660, I really liked it. That was the first Triumph that, not only first Triumph that I rode today, but the first Triumph that I've ever ridden, and I was extremely impressed by it. Super comfortable, decent power, nice looks. It's not super flashy, and so I don't know if there are some other paint colors that might make it look a little bit nicer, but it's a really nice bike. Now that I'm on this 800, I don't know, I might actually like the 800 better. It just feels a little bit sportier, a little more aggressive than that 660. We were out here in Alpharetta and Roswell, Georgia, so traffic at lunchtime is pretty busy, but it still gives a nice enough feel for how these bikes are for commuter duty. Clutch take-up is a little bit high. It's not annoying or anything, but it is a little bit high before it engages. Like, you kind of are almost full release before it engages. Not a big deal. It gives you plenty of opportunity to feel where the bite point is. Oh man, this has nice power though. I like this. Like, it's a little more effortless than that 660 was. The 660 would get up and move also, but this definitely feels a little more effortless with the power. I mean, as it should. The gear shifter is decent. You know, you get some positive clicks in there. It's not too hard to find neutral. It looks like this has heated grips, which that's kind of cool. It does have ride modes. Right now we're in road, so you know you can adjust the settings for your ABS and your traction control and your throttle and all that kind of stuff. It's a nice looking bike. A little small, but you know. Yeah, that does also. They say you just have to stay on the throttle, like make sure you're giving it throttle, and it'll like it was pretty smooth when I tried it, but you got to stay on the throttle, otherwise it gets real clunky. I'm glad you mentioned it. I forgot to try it on this. Alright, so that was just a quick little try of the quick shifter, speed shifter, whatever they call it. I think I've always called it a quick shifter. I think my riding partner next to me just called it that. But the guys at Triumph, I think they called it a speed shifter. So apologies if I got the wrong terminology for that. Mirrors are pretty good. You know, they're kind of wide, so you can kind of get a decent view over your shoulders. And this bike, while it is a little heavier than that 660, it is still pretty nimble. It still has no problem leaning over. That's nice. The throttle is very usable. And so what I mean by that is it's not twitchy in the least. Sometimes when you get on full-fledged sport bikes, even 600s, the throttle can be extremely twitchy. It's kind of on and off. But not this one. This actually is pretty nice. It's pretty smooth. Again, a nice sporty bike that is for daily riding. I think that's how I'm going to categorize this Trident 800. It's a nice sporty bike for everyday riding. Yeah, the quick shifter is nice. The controls aren't too difficult to access while you're riding, you know, to hit your turn signal and stuff like that. It's not too bad. Yeah, the quick shifter is a nice touch. Shifts way faster than I can. And yeah, this bike, it doesn't have any problem leaning. And it pulls strong. It's not scary fast. But it does pull strong. Plenty for a daily bike. Yeah, so that was an example of the high clutch engagement. We were on a hill right there, and the bike definitely wanted to roll backwards before I could engage first gear. I kept wondering, when's it gonna grab, when's it gonna grab? And you know, it wasn't until my hand was almost entirely open before it engaged. That's stuff that you probably get used to with ownership. You know, this is the first ride, so I'm still figuring this bike out. But it's nice to know that you can just kind of hop on it and go without having to take too much thought into it, put too much thought into it. Okay, not bad. I like it. If I were to choose between the 660 and the 800, I think I would choose the 800. Just the additional power. No, it's not quite as comfortable, but the additional power, the slightly larger bike does feel nice. And the gold wheels are pretty cool too. Alright guys, so we are about to wrap up this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. This was a first ride on the 2026 Triumph Trident 800. As always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss what we have coming up next. I'm Chris from AutoAcademics. Thanks for watching.